Good evening, everyone, and welcome to day 5 of our Salesforce Administrator training. And today we're going to continue with getting started with Salesforce. We're going to focus on the Object Manager and Lightning App Builder. This is the part 2 of our session on Object Manager. And today I'm going to go into much details on how the objects really works and how you can build your own application in Salesforce. So today we're going to be focusing more on how to create page layouts, how to create record types, and how to configure different processes to use certain record types and page layouts. I like to put things in bullet points, and yesterday we learned about a few of these items. So today we're going to continue. And one of the things we're going to be learning today is roll-up summary and formulas, record types, paths, and business processes. So without wasting much of your time, let me go straight into the trailhead and show you one or two things. So again, I'm logging into the Salesforce trailhead, and it automatically logs me in because it has my session in place, okay? If it doesn't have your session in place, make sure you log in and you go to the hands-on hugs. If this is your first time, you need to create a playground. Playground is like a sample place where you can try whatever we're doing right here in class. You can try it by yourself, okay? So I click on launch and I get to my Salesforce org. In my Salesforce org, yesterday, I told you about standard objects, custom objects, and the likes. I also told you about tabs, how you can put tabs, how you can make certain things visible, and how you can hide them. The default settings of the tabs and everything, I showed you how you can do that yesterday. In addition to that, I discussed about opportunities object and the use case for opportunities object in tracking sales deals, whether you can track the life cycle of the opportunity and you can either close win, close lost, a sale, okay? I also talk about the leads. The leads is for prospects. You capture prospect and you can convert a lead into an account or a contact. Then I discuss about cases. Cases are used to attend to customers. They're used to measure or, get feedback from customer and maybe address those feedbacks. So with cases, you have priority status and you can measure SLA and the likes. Also, you can direct or you can track where a case is coming from. All this we discussed yesterday. In addition to that, I showed you how to create fields. I told you about the standard fields and the custom fields. I told you about the standard fields being the fields that come as a default with your Salesforce standard objects. And I told you about the custom fields. The custom fields are the fields you created. In addition to that, you see __ C appended to every custom fields you created. So you have cities, you have countries, which was a sample field we created, and we have the _ C appended to it, okay? So these are how to manipulate things. But today I want to focus more on some technical stuff. Let's say we have a requirement to create a new data store for account objects. Right now, when we create a new account object, this is what we collect. Let's say we want to find out the total, maybe we want to find out the total opportunities on this account. Remember, I told you when you want to create opportunities, you can just go and create opportunity, right? But you don't have to associate it to an account. However, you have the privilege of associating it to an account. So now your manager has asked you on the account objects, I want to be able to find out all opportunities under Blackforce Account Inc. How would you be able to do that? Manager said, I want to see all the total number of contacts on Blackforce without having to go to Blackforce related and see contact. As you can see, we have one contact, right? I can create a new contact for Blackforce. I can call it Rosemary. and I have Joe. So we have a new contact for Blackforce, and I save. So Rosemary Doe is now a contact for Blackforce, and we have 2 contacts. But I want to be able to see maybe all the contact for Blackforce here. Alternatively, if I want to have opportunities, we currently have 1 opportunity for Blackforce. I can create new opportunity, and I can just say amazing deal that is coming for Blackforce, okay? And I say the closing date is this, then I save. So it said telling me to specify a stage, okay, it's currently in needs analysis, and I save. So we have 2 opportunities, right? We have 2 contacts. Manager has requested me without going to related tab. I want to be able to see all the opportunities we have for Blackforce. How do you do this? You have to create a field. This field will store the number of opportunities we have for Blackforce. How do I do this? I go to setup. I open the account object in the object manager, and I create a new field. And this is where we get to select the type of field. The type of field, which I explained, data type determines the types of data you can put in a field. So you need to select the right data. The right data will determine the right information you can accept. I told you about auto number. If you want to create a new record and you want that record to increase every time you create it without having a duplicate, you can use auto number. What's an example of an auto number? Employee ID. When a new employee joins your organization, they have an ID. So the first ID will be 001, the second ID will be 002, and it increases one after the other. That is very straightforward. That's auto number. Formula. Formula is when you want to either merge 2 fields together, or you want something to be calculated whenever a record is created. You don't necessarily have to use formula unless you need it. One of the most important things about formulas is it is read-only. A read-only formula, a read-only field says whenever a record is there, you cannot edit it. Look at this pencil. You cannot do that for a formula field. You cannot edit it because the formula is calculated anytime the record is created. And if you have a roll-up summary, a read-only field that displays the sum, the minimum, or the maximum value of a field in related list or record count of all records listed in a related list. What does that mean? In a related list, this is a related list. It is a sum. It gives the sum, minimum or maximum value of a field. It gives the sum, minimum or maximum value. So in an opportunity right now, if I have an amount that is $1 million, and I have another opportunity that is $2 million, I have another opportunity that is $3 million, I can calculate the average value of all the amounts in that opportunities and display that in the account object, because a roll-up summary gives the sum, the minimum or the maximum value. Let me explain to you. I select a roll-up summary and I call it average opportunity value, opportunity amount. Okay. Now that I have a roll-up summary, average opportunity amount, I want to summarize the opportunities objects, and I'm selecting. No, actually, I cannot find average. I can select the sum, the mean, and the max. If you want to do average, you have to do formula. Okay. Formula is you find the sum and you divide by the count. That's where you get the average. Okay. So a little bit of work is required to get the average. Let's do the sum first, then we'll do the average later. Okay. So now I did, I'll call this sum instead of average. Okay. So we don't confuse ourselves. Okay. So now I call it sum. Okay. Sum of all opportunities, I'm going to say quantity. Is quantity a field, or what kind of field is quantity? Probability, I don't need probability. Okay, let's select quantity for now, but we should be able to get average. We should be able to get amounts. So let me see. Just give me 1 minute. Let me see what quantity is referencing, but I get quantities amount, but let me just see to confirm that, okay? So we have opportunity. Let me go to opportunity. What field is called quantity? So total opportunity quantity. That's interesting. So let me go to opportunities and go to quantity. Is that quantity here? There's no quantity. So where's quantity coming from? Let me just see quantity and that. So let me go to the page layout. Let me go to opportunities and I go to quantity. So quantity was not displayed yet. So now it's displayed. Okay, so if you're entering opportunity, you have quantity. Okay, so now if I want to enter a new opportunity, I should be able to have quantity. Right? Quantity, okay? So it's now summing quantity, but I want amount. Where's amount? We are not collecting amount. Okay, let's create, amount should be an opportunity, but don't worry, we can create it. We can quickly create it, but is there actually? So I will go to amount, okay? Amount should be there, okay? Because amount is like a standard field in opportunity, so we should have it, okay? So now let me just refresh this and see if amount is now showing. Amount. Just let me look for amount and see. Okay, it takes a bit of time to kick in, but it should be there, okay? So let me just go to previous and go to next. I should be able to have amounts there. Again, let me see. This is coming, amount. Okay, refresh. Maybe I needed to refresh that screen. Amount is still not coming, but it will eventually come. Sometimes it takes a bit of time. Let me see. It's still not coming. Maybe if I go on incognito, it should come. But let's just try it one more time. Okay, it's not coming. We can come back to this. Let's come back to this, okay? So the formula field would just essentially, you can roll up, okay? I can roll up quantity. So right now, I want to find out the sum of all quantity on the opportunity. So all records should be included in the calculation, meaning that all the records associated to opportunities will be included. Then I click on next, and I click on next, and I save. So right now, I have a new field called sum of quantity, right? But right now, I'm calling it opportunity amount, but we're using quantity for a start, okay? So now that we have that on the account object, so anytime we have a record in an account, or we can click on any account, we should be able to see the sum, okay? This is a sum of quantity. So now I will go to related, I will go to opportunities, I will edit all Blackbox opportunities and make sure that, oh, amount is coming out now. Okay, I'll put quantity as 45, save. Then I go back to accounts, go to Blackbox, go to related, I go to amazing deal, and I edit this. I put something in quantity, okay? So we have 66 and we have 45 or something like that. So go back to Blackbox Inc., go to details, and we should go to sum of opportunity amount, which is sum of quantity. It's now giving us this sum, which is about 45 plus 66, okay? That's the idea. The roll-up summary field is a field that would calculates associating records. It will calculate the data from a related object and display in the master objects. That is the purpose of the roll-up summary field. And it can only be used in a master detail relationship model. You can only use the roll-up summary field whenever you have a master detail relationship. You cannot just use it in a lookup relationship. You cannot just use it anyhow on an object. It has to be in a master detail. The detail is what you're adding up. The master is where you display the sum, the average, the min, max into. As you can see, we display the sum in the account objects, in the details page of the account objects. This account is the master, opportunity is the details. Okay? Now that we know the purpose of roll-up summary, let us go into more exciting stuff. And that is using formula. Yesterday, someone asked about getting the student number into the exam record. So student number is this. This is a student and this is a student number. Now that because we have relationship between student and exam record, we want to make sure that anytime we have an exam record, we can display the student number, which was what I did. So yesterday I did this, but I want to show you again how that is done. We go to the exam record. We go to the exam record, okay? The exam record objects. And we did what I called the formula. So you go to new and you select formula. As you can see, the roll-up summary is not enabled. Like I mentioned earlier, the roll-up summary would only be available on the master, not the child. As you can see, the exam record is a child. That's why the roll-up summary is not enabled. Okay, so I select formula and I do cross-object formula. The cross-object formula would help you pull record from the master into the child. To help you pull record from the master into the detail. When I say parent-child, I mean master detail. You can interchange them, but it means the same thing. Master detail, parent-child, okay? So now that I want to get the student number like I did yesterday, I would just select student number and I will select the data type of a student number. It can just be text. It can be whatever it is, but obviously it has to be text or number, right? It cannot be checkbox, currency, or the likes. Whatever data you want to collect, you need to make sure you are selecting the right data type. Now that I want to populate in the exam record the student number, all I needed to do was to go to the exam record and now look for the relationship students. This is a student relationship to the exam record. Then I look for the student number. This is a student number and I insert. This is how to create a formula. This is what they call the cross-object formula. As you can see, the formula field is auto-populated anytime you create a record. You don't have to think about how the student number will come up in the exam record. You don't have to think about it. You cannot even edit it. It is automatically populated. A formula field, you cannot edit. It is automatically populated. That is how you create a formula. And that is how you do a roll-up summary. Remember, there are so many use cases for roll-up summary. There are so many use cases for formula. You need to find out the question, from the question you're solving, what you want to do. Okay, so now that you've seen how this stuff works and you're wondering, when I have a lot of details, how do I arrange this field such that it is evenly spread in a page? Look at how it looks right now. It doesn't look nice. Well, it looks nice from a small data point of view. But what if you have 10 data? Would you display all the 10 data on the left-hand side? No. You want to arrange them properly. This is what Salesforce called the page layout. The page layout is how you arrange fields on the display. So if you have the account right now, you go to an account record and you go to the details of the account. Look at this is well organized. Left, right is well filled. If you go to the exam records, you will see that everything is on the left-hand side. In order to make changes to the page layout, you need to go to the object called exam record. In every object, you would have what they call the page layout. We have done the fields and relationships. Now we're going to page layout. The page layout is exam record layout. It will go after the name of the object. So once you have the exam record layout, you can edit. And once you edit, you will see what options you have. Right now, if you go to the exam record layout, everything is on the left-hand side. Let's move things a little bit. I can move this to this side, move things to this side. Or if I don't like the student number, I can just take it off using that remove. Okay, I can remove it. In addition to that, you will see a spanner. A spanner at the right-hand side of that. That means you can determine whether this is a read-only field or not. You can determine whether this is a read-only field or not. Obviously, if you're creating an exam record, this needs to be entered. So you cannot just say it is a read-only field. But I will give you instances when you can say this is a read-only field. For instance, you have this page layout. We've pushed things from the left-hand side to the right-hand side and we save. Now that we have this page layout, this is a page layout that will be used for the exam record. However, if you have different users in your Salesforce, you don't want to give them the same page layout. Maybe you want to give the students a different page layout. Maybe you feel like the students should not be able to edit their exam record. Ideally, they shouldn't be able to edit their exam record. So you want to maybe create a different page layout from an existing page layout and call it student exam record layout. Okay, the student exam record layout would be built from the existing record layout, and the only difference is you might want to say in the student exam grade, I want it to be read only, meaning that the students will not be able to edit their exam grade. This is one way of preventing that. There are so many ways you can prevent that in Salesforce. This is just one way, okay? You save. And once you save, you now have two page layouts. The first one is exam record layout, which you can rename to system admin exam record layout. Okay? How did I get here? I go to the page layout and I click on layout properties, and I can just give it a prefix of system admin exam record page layout. Then I save. Then for the student, I'll just say student exam record layout. Okay, so you can distinguish between the student's view and the admin view. This is how you separate the view. So anyone that has a student profile would only see the layout for students. Anyone that has a system admin layout, a system admin profile, will only be able to see the system admin profile. What is this? System admin layout. What is the difference between the student's exam record layout and the system admin record layout? The student exam record layout has a read only on the exam grade. In addition to that, you can also have new fields. Okay, you can all have new fields. I'll just say graded by, or I will just say remarks. Okay, I'll call it remarks. So I will call it a test area and I will call it remarks. Okay, I'll call it lecturer remarks. Lecturer remarks would be the comments made by the grader. The comments made by the grader. So if you want to ensure that the student cannot see the remarks that is made by the grader, the first thing you would do is ensure that the lecturer's remark is on the admin layout. Can you see? The lecturer's remark, for those that couldn't see properly, I'll just zoom a little bit. The lecturer's remark is on the admin layout. And now I go to the student exam layout. Lecturer remark is still there, but I don't want it to be visible to the students. I just remove it. This is how you control visibility of a page layout based on the profile. Now that I refresh this, as you can see, because I'm logged in as an admin, I would be seeing lecturer's remark. But if I'm logged in as a student, I wouldn't see it. However, before we finalize that layout, we need to assign it. There is no way you can adjust layout without assigning to a profile. Remember, the profile is what you give a user. If anyone has a profile of students, they should be able to see only the student exam record layout. If anyone has a profile of admin, they will be able to see the admin exam record layout. So how do you do that? The final step is to click on page layout. And once you click on page layout, you will see that by default, all the profiles are using the system admin exam record layout. How do you assign the profile, the layout to the appropriate profile? You click on edit assignment and you will say, let's assume that this is a student department profile. We're going to use our accounting department profile as an example of a student profile. Okay, so I click on this and I say, I don't want it to be a system admin exam record layout. I want to select student exam record layout. So I have changed the accounting department profile from the system admin record layout to the student exam record layout. Now I save. As you can see, the admin is still using the system admin exam record layout, which is fine, but the student is now using the student exam record layout. Remember, our student is a user that has accounting department profile. I click on save and that is it. I have completed the page layout assignment. So any student or any user that has accounting department profile will see the student exam record layout. And any user that has a system admin will see the system admin exam record layout. Okay, so now I go to users. For me to test this, I need to look for a user that has the account profile, which is this. Okay, accounting department profile is used by our test user. If I log in as this guy, they will be able to see only what they are given or required to see. One of the issue here is I can't even see the student objects or the exam record objects. Yesterday, I told you about object visibility based on profile. If I click on edit, I will look for the objects. I go to students, there is no students. I go to exam, there is no exam record. This is what a majority of you will face. Relax. All you need to do is find out why you cannot see it. So you go as an admin, you log in, and you will go to the accounting department profile. The accounting department profile will determine why you cannot see that object when you log in as a user with an accounting department. So now I am editing the accounting department profile. I will go to my apps. I will go to my tabs. So my tabs for the students will determine whether I can see it or not. It says student default on, exam records on. That means I should be able to see it, okay? But I cannot see it. The next thing I will go is to find out the tabs. I go to tabs and I click on tabs. I want to edit the visibility of students. I click on save. So right now I have students, and let me edit this. The first thing I want to find out is on the sales app. So I will go to this shows that the tabs is present on the custom object. As you can see, it says students, right? That means the tab is present. But I need to now go into the sales app, which I haven't taught you yet. But if you want to find out what tabs are available per profile for an app, you go into the app manager. The app manager will tell you what tabs or what objects can be visible on the app. I don't want to jump into this right now because we haven't completed the visibility, but because we need to test this, I have to do it, okay? So I will go into the sales app and I will edit the sales app for Lightning, okay? This is a sales app. I will edit this app and I will look up the options based on user profile. I will look up, let's say, accounting. Oh, sorry, this is accounting department profile, which we selected. So that means accounting department, I have access to this. Go to navigation items. Then I can look up. This is there, that's fine. And just 1 minute, app options. When we are assigning the app, what do we get? Just Lightning. I haven't taught you this, but we have to test it. And that's the only way we can test it, to bring the visibility of this object for that profile, okay? So let me just go to the profile again. Profiles. And the accounting department, I want to make sure that it is on, okay? So default is on for departments, students, that's fine. And what is the visibility of the object? Okay, doesn't have visibility. So I will edit this and make sure I give visibility to the accounting department, because you cannot see the object because you don't have visibility. Visibility needs to be on for you to be able to see the object, okay? So all the custom objects we created, we need to give them visibility. You don't have to give them all the create, read, visibility, but you still need to give at least one visibility so they can do one or two things on the object, okay? So now that I've given the visibility, I will save. So I think right now I should be able to see the students in the tabs, okay? So let me try again, and I log in as the user test. So right now I have this. I can see the students, exam record, department in the tabs. Previously, I couldn't see because the profile did not give them the visibility. As you can see, the profile determines what they can see. This is a very good case study of how powerful the profile is. If you don't give access, the user will not be able to see it. Even though it is a custom object, you still need to give access. Now that we've seen it, let's go to the exam records. The exam records, all records, we go to chemistry, and we can see this. As you can see, we do not have lecturer remark in this view. The lecturer remark is not showing for students. However, if I close this and I log in back as an admin, you will see lecturer remarks from the admin view. So this is how you use profile to control the page layout. This is how you use page layout to control fields that you can display on an object. There is other ways which you can use certain items to control what you can see in an object. The first one I've shown you is a page layout. The second one is a record type. Record type helps you to control visibility of a fields. Particularly, record types help you to determine the value that will come up in a pick list view, a pick list field. As you can see, we have an account, and in an account, we can, when we want to create an account, we have what they call rating. In rating, we have auth1 code. In type of account, we have prospect, customer direct, customer channel, installation partner, technology partner, and the likes. These are what we call a pick list field. When you have a record type can determine what options get to show when you want to select this rating for an account. For instance, you can determine if this is an internal record. If it's an internal record, then I just want to display auth and code. If it's an external record for an account, I want to display auth, worm, and code. How do you determine those options? How do you determine the options that appear in a pick list? You use what they call the record types. Record types helps you to determine the options that can appear in a pick list. So far, we've done the fields and relationship. We've done page layout. Now, let's go down to record types. Record types helps you to differentiate what pick list value gets to display on an object when you're creating the record. So now I can just say, I want it to be internal accounts, and I don't make it available to all profile. Just, always select the list available based on what you're interested in. Let's say in future, your manager has asked you to enable internal account record type for this profile, then you go back and edit it and change it. But for now, because we're not interested in all this profile, we don't have to select it. Let's focus on the profile of interest, which is system admin and the accounting department. So we have this record type, which we just created, internal accounts, and we say, what page layout should be used for this record type? Again, we are given that option. We are given that option to determine the page layout. Actually, I would like to create this record type on the exam record because we already have 2 page layouts we can play around with. So let's go to the exam record and we go to record types. We click on record types. I'll call it internal exams and external exams, okay? Internal exams. And I will select just accounting and system admin, okay? Now it's telling me if this record type is internal exam, what page layout would you like to use? What page layout would you like to use? I would like to use exam record, and I would like to use for system administrator, system admin page layout. Then I save. So as you can see, I have created a page layout that will be used based on the record type. So even to make it more descriptive, I can create a new page layout and I'll call it internal exam record. So we can actually see what's going on. So I call it internal exam record, and I want to include, I just want to include student grade. So internal exam record would have lecturer remarks. Let's just make it something more descriptive. Internal exam record would have lecturer's remarks. So I go to record types, I edit this, and I say save. Okay. Again, I can assign a page layout, but I can go back to page layout and I just go to the page layout assignment. I edit this page layout assignment. Can you see? I have the option of selecting what I want as the page layout, internal exam record. So now, previously, I only have one option. But now, because I have created a record type, I have two options. I click on save. I still want to create another record type called external exams. External exam will use a different page layout. External exam record, it will use a different page layout. So accounting department is using internal exam. Then system admin, I want to make this the default for the system admin. External exam, okay? So it's going to change the default to system admin, okay? For external exam. So this one is internal, which is fine. But for system admin, I want it to be system admin page layout for external. Okay? So now the bottom line is we have two record types and we can determine the page layout to use for this record type. Now let's see this in action. I'll refresh this page so that it kicks in. Then I go to create an exam record. Previously, when I wanted to create an exam record, I just create it without any question. But now, when I want to create an exam record, it's going to ask me, what type of exam record would you like to create? An external exam record or internal exam record? Let me just make it consistent, the naming. So I go to edit. Okay. Although you don't have to put that record there, right? It's just for consistency. I'd rather not put it, but again, you guys have preferences in how you name stuff, okay? So I'll just refresh this again so it kicks in. And now that it kicks in, I click on new. Okay, it takes some time, but don't let us dwell too much on this. We know that is a record, right? Type of record type. So I'm selecting external exam record. I click on next. As you can see, I have that option. I have that option remarks, which I'm interested in. Okay, I save. Now I want to create a new record. Internal exam record, it has reflected. Okay, if I go to the page layout will be different. Okay, save. So now this is lecturer remarks for the profile. Okay, if I go to the exam record, this, I see this because the system admin profile has this page layout. Okay, if I log in as this user, I will be seeing a different layout. Okay. This is the layout I created for the internal, and you can go and you will see different layouts. Can you see this different layout? It's based on the record types. The record types determines the page layout you can see. if I select this, I will see a different page layout, even though it's an accounting profile, but the record type has switched. Okay, the record type for that has switched. So it says I don't have access to the this record type. Okay, but if I were to be an admin, I can change this, and once I change the record type, it will display a different page layout. This is how you use record type to control the page layout. That's not the only purpose of a record type. A record type can also control the pick list, what happens here. So let's see how that works. Now I go to setup and I go to the account objects and I create two record types. Okay, I create two record types for the account objects. I will call it internal account and external account. Internal account. I don't like to select all things. I usually just minimize the things I select, because the moment you select all things, it becomes really restrictive. Okay, I don't want to differentiate page layout based on record type. I want to just save. Okay, I'll just select the default layout. That's fine. I save. Then I want to create another record type. Okay, but before I do other things that I want to show you, I want to create external account record type. External account. Okay, and I make available for this profile and the system admin. Okay, next. Again, just select the same page layout is okay. Save. So now when I'm creating a new account, I have the opportunity of selecting a record type. I can either select an internal account record type or external account record type. Right now, if you select internal accounts, nothing happens, okay? Everything's still the same, no difference. If you select external, nothing happens because we haven't done anything. Everything still remains the same, okay? Nothing happens. Now, let me tell you the beauty of the record type. We have a field in the record type called rating. Record types helps you control the pick list field. If I say all external accounts should never be warm, I don't want the warm to appear whenever I'm selecting external accounts. I save. I go back to the record types. I go to internal accounts. I edit this pick list. Internal accounts, I don't want anything to be hot. I remove it and I save. So anytime I'm creating a new record on the account objects, I have the privilege, I have the opportunity of creating internal accounts. And what happens on the internal account? I cannot select the hot option because I have already taken it off. Similarly, if I select an external account, I cannot select the warm option because I have taken it off. So the record type determines the value you can enter in the pick list. The record type can determine whether you can have more values or less values. This is particularly useful where you have a lot of options. For instance, in the opportunities, we have stages. What are stages in opportunities? Stages are different process of a sales life cycle, meaning that if I am working in XYZ company and my sales process requires me to prospect, to do some prospecting, do some qualification analysis, needs analysis and everything, which is cool. However, from a Salesforce point of view, I could have two pipelines. I could have internal pipelines or external pipelines. I'm using internal and external because it's easier to differentiate. It could just be web sales and email sales. It could just be phone sales, web sales, and email sales. So it's not limited to internal and external the way I'm describing it. It could be much, much complex. So let's go to the opportunities and create different record types. I'm going to create, okay, I don't want to use opportunity because opportunity is a special object. Let's use exam. I'll explain to you why opportunity is a special object in subsequent sessions, maybe tonight or maybe to next class. So let's use exam record types, which we already have this, right? We have external, internal, and we have that, okay? So what we're trying to get across is actually I can still use opportunities. What I can just tell you is this: opportunities is a sales application in Salesforce. And in sales application, you have what they call processes, a sales process. A sales process meaning that I might not go through this ideal path. I might want to have a different path for my sales process. And I can decide to say, if a sales process is internal, you shouldn't go through all these paths. But I don't want to go into sales processes today because that's our next class. However, I can use a different example for this. I will go to the students onboarding. Students, okay, I'll go to student objects and I'll say, how do we onboard a student? I'll just call it status, okay? When you have a new student in the school, they need to onboard them in the right process. So I'm creating a new field called status, and I will say registration, document review, assessment passed. I will say, what else can you put in a student onboarding process? You can just say qualification. No, I will say qualification review. Okay, yeah, document review, blah, blah, blah. What else can you put? Onboarding a student. You can just say departments given or whatever, or you can just say qualified. You know, I just created hypothetical way of onboarding a student. Okay, doesn't matter whether it's right or wrong. The process is the main objective is we have different paths. Okay, so now I save. So now I have what they call the status of a student. And actually, let me add one more. I can put paid, okay, just to make things a little bit exciting, right? Change field type. No, I don't want to change field type. So I go to status and I want to add new one. I'll call it paid, okay? So if it's paid, then we know that yeah. So paid, then that's it, okay? So now I have this pick list value whenever I'm creating a new student. So the first thing when I'm creating a new student, Babatope Olajide, right? Then I have the student number, which is this, department, engineering. But the status, I'll just say registration. I save. This is cool. This is absolutely cool. However, what could be nice is if you can see the status of the student right from the page when you land on the student page. This, you can use what they call paths. In Salesforce, path is just a life cycle of how you close a sales. For example, an opportunity. In a student, I could say a path is the life cycle of the entire process of onboarding a student, such as registration, document review, assessment passed, department selected, qualified, and paid. That is also a path. However, we've limited the path view to just a field. Salesforce gives you the opportunity to display the paths. You can display the path the same way you have displayed the path in opportunities. You see how cool is this? You can do the same thing in any custom object. How do you do that? You go to paths. In Salesforce, we have what they call paths. Path gives you a guide to success for a particular object of choice based on the field of interest, particularly a pick list field. A pick list field is what you use for a path. You cannot use a static inputs field for a path because the only option you have for a static input field is just one. You only have one option. But for a pick list, you have multiple options, which you can use to represent the path. Okay, so now that we go to paths in Salesforce and we click on path settings, and I will just click on enable paths. I want to create a student enrollment path. A student enrollment path is what I want to create, okay? So I want this path to be displayed anytime I am on the student object. And I say, okay, whenever a student record is created, use this path and use the pick list called status as the path. Then I click on next. As you can see, I have created a path. I click on next and I activate this path. And I can enable celebration if I want to, which is saying, okay, whenever the path is paid, celebrate. You will see how it looks like when you celebrate. Now I have created a path for student enrollment. I've made it active and let's see how it works. I will go to the students. I go to the record. I refresh this page. Then I will add the path to this page. How do you add paths to a page? You go to the setup. Instead of going to the setup, you edit this page. Understand there is a difference between editing the page layout, which is this page, and editing the entire page. The entire page you can edit. The page layout you can edit. This page, this details page, is the page layout I referred to the last time. The entire page is the entire page that you see in that page, which is this. The student, the entire page is this, from year to year. You can determine what appears here. You can determine everything here. It's up to you. However, the page layout which we edited before is just this, is just limited to these fields for the objects. So please try to understand the difference between the page layout and the edit page, okay? Now, going back to the edit page, this is what we have. I can now look for things I want to take off or things I want to add. For instance, this delete, if I take it off and I save, okay, I have to activate this page and I assign it as a default org. I click on next and I save, okay? So now that I save, if you refresh this page, the activity will be gone because I have taken off the activity away from display. This is how you delete everything in the page. If I don't like this page, I can delete it. If I don't like details, I can take it off. I can just select it and I can take it off. If I want the details to appear first before related, I can move it up. I can move it up and that's it, how it's going to appear. So you can edit pages in Salesforce. You have the liberty to edit anything you see. You can take off anything you see on this page. Salesforce gives you that liberty to take off everything. If you're a developer, you will know how to develop components which you can display on this page. You don't have to write much code for it. Just few lines of code. You can create buttons. You can create text. You can create LinkedIn page right on this page. If you're a developer, you will learn how to do that. However, for your Salesforce, you just need to know that you can edit this page. For your Salesforce, you just need to know that you can remove these fields if you don't like it. Okay, as an admin, you can remove this field. Going back to the page, I'm going to look for what they call paths. Path is a standard component. As you can see on the left-hand side, we have over 30 components we can drag on this page. We can drag a flow object, or a flow. We can drag activities, which I previously deleted. We can drag anything we want. We can drag anything we want on this page. Okay, so I want to drag the path. As you can see, I've dragged the path on this page and I save. Once I save this path, I already activated this page. I just save and I refresh this page. Now I'm going to see the path and I'm going to see the activity. Can you see how cool this is? I have converted the status right here into a more visual way of seeing the student life cycle. And I've included a list view, the same thing we saw when we visit this page. I have included it in the details of the page. This is how you start building your Salesforce page. This is what Salesforce is all about, giving you the liberty to manipulate things based on what you want. You don't need a developer to do this. As an admin, you should be able to manipulate things. Take this off, bring it back at your own liberty. I click on the life cycle of the student. I've reviewed the documents, mark as a current cycle, mark as a current status. The status changes automatically. I have assessed and it's passed, mark as current status, it changes automatically. Then once the student is qualified, mark as current status, it changes automatically. If it's paid, mark as current status, it changes automatically. Okay, this is how you can use paths in Salesforce. It is not limited to the standard objects. This is a custom object we created. As you can see, we created a path in the custom objects. What are the benefits? Why are we doing all this? We're doing all this just because it is cool and it gives a visual representation of a process. Business process can determine a lot of things. Now that you've seen record type, you've seen page layout, you've seen pick list, you've seen formula. Let's see a very good use case of this when it comes to business. Let's imagine we have a student onboarding process. And we say if the student is engineering, they have to, do you have to do maybe GMAT. But if the student is not engineering, they do not need to do GMAT. Okay? How do I do that? It's called a business process. Business process in Salesforce enables you the record types, the page layouts, and the record types, the page layouts, and the pick list enables you to manipulate things in Salesforce in terms of process. So now I want to differentiate my students. I want to say if a student is undergraduate, I want to make sure that they have a different path, a different process, meaning that undergrad might not need maybe A levels or the likes. Similarly, if a student is, okay, let's go to new record types, and I'll call it postgraduates, meaning that they should see a different process. This is what Salesforce gives you out of the box, a business process that can be controlled based on record types. The record types, the page layout determines the business process. So what I'm trying to say is this. Now I want to create a different path based on the undergrad and the postgrad. So I'm gonna say assessments. I'm gonna say assessments required. The field would be a pick list. The field would be a pick list, and I'm gonna call it assessments required. Okay, the assessments required is a pick list. I'll call it GCSE, A levels, GMAT. Okay, I'm gonna call it IELTS. I'm gonna call it degree, and I'm gonna call this, that's it, right? So if it's undergrad, I need this. If it's postgrad, I need this, okay? And I want to put international, I need this, okay? So that's fine. I click on next. I click on next and I save. Okay, so one thing I want to do is this. I want to have, so I have two record types that says postgrad and undergrad, okay? I want to see if I need to have another one. Just give me 1 minute. Give me 1 minute to think. Okay, that's fine. But I can probably add another one if I want to, okay? I can say international postgrad or something like that. But don't let us complicate things. Let's do the basic stuff. So right now, it means if I want to create a new student, it's going to ask me, is this an undergraduate or a postgraduate? Okay, then based on whatever I select, I should have different options appear for assessment required. Let's start with that. Okay, I go back to my student objects. I click on postgraduates. In the postgraduates, under assessment required, I edit. And I said, if it's a postgraduate, I don't need GCSE, I don't need A levels, I need GMAT, and I need degree, okay? And I save. I go back to my record types. If it's undergraduates, I go back to my record type, I edit assessments. Okay, undergraduates, edit assessments. If it's undergraduates, I need GCSE, I need A levels, I don't need GMAT. I don't need degree, okay? And maybe I need IELTS, whatever it is, save. So now I have created two different options for a student based on the record types. If it's undergraduates, the options, I need to refresh for it to kick in, okay? It takes a bit of time, but eventually it kicks in. So if it's students, I go and I say if it's postgraduates, GMAT, IELTS degree is required. If it is undergraduates, GCSE, A levels, IELTS is required, okay? Now, if I go and this, I don't see that part. I don't see that because this one is still pulling from status. I need to go to paths and create a path, a business process. I need to create a business process for student enrollment in undergraduates. Okay, undergraduate student enrollment. And I select the student objects, but now the option will be assessment required. Okay, these are the options I have. And I say active, good, finish. In addition to that, I can select the pick list values, but that's not needed. So I can say, okay, if you get a degree, that's fine, but it's not required if you don't select this, okay? If you select this, then it's required. If you don't select this, it's not required. Celebration is just like something that appears on the screen whenever someone has achieved the final stage of the student enrollment. So I'm going to do the same thing for postgraduates. Okay, and I select the student object again and assessment required. Oh, 1 minute. What did I select the last time? It's very important to select the right thing, okay? If you don't select the right thing would not appear. It says record type postgraduate. It should be undergraduate, okay? It's very important. So what I need to do is delete that. I need to delete that and create it again. If you make a mistake, just delete it and create again, okay? So I'm going to say undergraduate, object is students, record type is undergraduate. Remember, it has to match what you want. Then I say, okay, activate, good. Similarly, I'm going to create a new path for postgraduates. Okay, postgraduates. Then I have students. I have postgraduate as a record type. Assessment is the pick list I'm interested in. Next, save. Okay, but I need to activate as well, right? So I click on activate. Okay, so now anytime I want to create a new student, the old part is gone now. If it's undergraduates, you have those options. Okay, you save, and the part that appears is going to be based on, why is my screen shaking? Okay, it's going to be based on what you've selected as a record type. Similarly, if you select postgraduates, the part that appears would be based on the record type and the parts you've selected. As you can see, we have different parts that comes up based on the record type. This is very important. If I change the record type, I will see a different part, okay? I will see a different part. If I change record type, I will see a different part. This is how Salesforce helps you control life cycle of a process. It is called the business process. The last thing I would like to show you tonight before we open the floor for question and answer is how to build an application. Right now, you've seen the default applications. They are the ones Salesforce created for you. In your project, you'll be required to build your own application. We have two ways of bringing in application. The first way is through the App Exchange. The App Exchange, which I'm still going to go through in subsequent session, is a place to quickly insert or plug in an application. Instead of you having to design your own application, you can use an existing application and save your business time. So you can focus more on using Salesforce. However, if your company asks you to create an application that solves student administration, you would go to the setup and you would type in App Manager. Okay, you type in App Manager and you click on New Lightning App. I type in the App Manager, I go to App Manager and I click on New Lightning App. So you will be saying student administration or student app. Okay, you call it student app or you call it student grader. Now that you have a student grader, always remember developer name automatically appears. The developer name automatically appears. Don't worry about it, okay? Then you give it a description. These apps helps me to track all my students and provide relevant grades, okay? Then you upload a logo. you have the option of uploading any logo you want. The logo you upload would appear on the, as you can see, the Salesforce logo. You can change it to your own logo. I think I uploaded a different logo, so let me see if I can upload a different logo. Okay, I'll just upload Salesforce logo. It wouldn't make much difference. Then I go to next. Okay, as you can see, the Salesforce logo has been uploaded. I go to next. Then I have the option of standard navigation or console navigation. Let me show you the difference between the standard navigation and console navigation. When you have the sales app, this is a standard navigation. But if you go to a different app called Service Console, you will see a console view. The difference between the console view is you press the drop down here to see all your objects. You use the drop down to see all your objects. It's not on the tab. And once you click on the record, it opens on the right-hand side and you can see a different view. This is mostly used for busy people. Those that don't want to open, close, and the likes. They want to see things everywhere. As you can see, it's very busy and you can easily close the record if you want to close the record. This is the console view. This is different from the standard navigation, okay? So this is a standard navigation and the one I showed you before is the console view, okay? Then you ask yourself, is this app gonna be visible on desktop and phone or just desktop? It's up to you which one you want, okay? Then setup experience, full setup option or service setup option. This again is totally up to you, okay? Disable end user personalization. What this means is that if you click on disable end user personalization, the user of your app will not be able to personalize the app. They might not be able to move things around like tabs or certain arrangement of the tabs. They might not be able to drag things up and down, okay? Because we have the option of going to pencil and move things around, right? We might not be able to do that when you disable personalization, okay? So now you go to next. You want to add utility. If you want to, utility are just items that appear on the bottom of the application. You don't need that. Then you select the objects, you select the items that are available. As you can see, you can select all the objects you want for that app, but you have to limit it to the objects you want. You don't have to select all the objects. If you're working on a student grader app, only select the student-related object that you've created for that app. Don't select account, don't select contact, don't select all those things you don't need. Focus on the application you're building. Then you go to next. You select the profile that should have access to this app. Don't select all profile, only select the ones that should have access. This is how you give least privilege until they now ask you to open up. As an admin, if you solve all the problem in a day, what job would you have tomorrow? You need them to give you job to do. So don't solve all the problem overnight. Do the list required for the business based on the requirement they're giving to you. Don't impress unless you want to get a promotion that requires you to impress your boss. But when it comes to Salesforce, you have to keep it simple. Keeping it simple, make sure that you don't give access to those that do not need it. If you give access to someone that do not need it, they can do something to all the organization, especially data-wise. If you give someone access to something they do not need, they can just do something silly, right? So you don't want that. Now that we've created the application, next time you want to edit the application, you go to the app manager and you go to the student grader. Item number 27, you click on edit, okay? That is how you edit whatever you've made the last time, okay? That is it. This is how you create the app. So now that if you've created the app successfully, you can go back to the front end, refresh your front end, and you can see your app appear on the app menu. Student Grader. This is how you create your own app. Salesforce creates this app for us by default, but you can now create your own app. If I click on the Student Grader, the only thing that would happen or that will show to me is the student and the exam record. That is the way you create your own app. This is the way you create your own packs. This is how you change the record type. Once you change the record type, you will be able to see different parts based on the record types you've created. This is how you use the pick list. You use record type to change the value of the pick list. You use record types, page layout to change how this display. You can edit the page and determine what you want to see. Previously, we saw these activities, we can take it off. We have this, we can take it off. We can add other things to it. We can add record details and we can determine what comes up. Details are related, we can determine that. You can even add more tabs. You can add more tabs and call it a different object or activity. Done, save. So now if you go to that page, you will see a different thing. If you refresh this page, so we need to assign it. Edit the page. Okay, and I go here. Okay, I want to add a new tab. I go to this. I select activity. Done. Okay, then I save. Okay, I save and it should give us another option. I think it has to do with record types. Okay, but don't let us dwell on that right now. But eventually, when you're creating your app, you'll be able to add more tabs here. Okay, you should be able to add more tabs. You should be able to change this. Don't put all the things on the left-hand side. To change the page layout, go to the objects from the back end. Go to the student objects. And you go to page layout. You go to student page layout. This is what you currently have. You can change it. Change the properties to from one column, from 2 columns, change it to 1 column. And you save. So everything will just be on 1 column. Again, you can change the look and feel of everything you see in the Salesforce org. Sometimes when you make changes, the effect doesn't come immediately, but it will eventually come. Okay, so don't be too worried when you don't see the effect of your changes. It takes some time. The alternative way to do it is to log out and log in, and you see the changes. That's all you need to know with objects and Lightning app building. I'm going to stop here for tonight, and I'm going to open the floor for questions and answer. Please raise your hand, and I will call you according to how you raise up your hand, okay? If you have any questions about what we've learned tonight, please raise your hand up so I can call you one after the other. Thank you.
Hello, good evening, sir. Hello, can you hear me? Hello?
I can hear you. I can hear you, Joy.
Okay. Hi, sir. Well done. You were a bit fast today, I must admit. It was like you had a set goal you needed to finish, but I think the only thing I picked was the building up part, the extreme end. So that's actually what I have to ask on. I did not really follow the other parts, but hopefully the video will help me at my own pace. Okay, you talked of an app manager, app exchange rather, and then I wasn't sure, was it the app exchange? Was that where you now got to explain how we get to set up, then follow the fill in the fields as required, and all other parameters. And then I think you were trying to say there were two. Is that the only way to create an app on Salesforce? Because I know you said one of them was App Exchange, and then you explained every other thing, and that was it. So is that the only way to create an app or build a new app outside the default apps already provided by Salesforce? Is that the only way? And yeah, that's about it. So I want to believe everything you explained was it from App Exchange? I just want to get that. Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. It looks like as if I was a bit fast, but again, this is the kind of things you would expect going forward, the familiarity of where things are. Okay, so I haven't done much besides introducing one or two concepts, but the familiarity is probably what got you confused. I wasn't explaining this is an object, this is a record. I'm now using what I've explained in previous classes. So if this is your first class or your second class, please try to watch previous videos so you don't get too lost, okay? So I haven't said that. Like I told you, in Salesforce, we have two options when it comes to applications based on what we want to do. We have what they call the default apps, which obviously comes with Salesforce, okay? Once you get your Salesforce org, this application comes default. However, we have two other ways of creating apps. The first one is to use an app that has been created by someone else. So let's say you want to create a dashboard that finds out the sales. You can go to the App Exchange and look for an app that has been created by someone else. Can you see? Visit App Exchange, you click on it, and you look for, let's say, currency converter. Currency converter, okay? You look for a currency converting application. You install it and you start using it. Okay, that's an app that has already been created by someone and you're using it. The other option is for you to create your own application. How do you create your own application? You bring 2, 3 objects together to form an application. You create a field in an object. You create a formula field, you create a lookup field, you create a master detail, you create a relationship. Those are fields. I've created a simple student grader app. This student grader app, I create a student object and I related that student object with exam records. This is a simple application that helps me to register a student in the system and provide an exam record for that student. It's just a simple application. This is a student grader app. So I've created a student grader app using 2 objects and fields in those objects. If you're asked to create an app, you go to Setup and you create app from the app manager. I type in app manager and I create new Lightning app. And that's the process of creating an application. I hope that helps you.
Yes, it does. I get you now. You answered my question. Thank you. I understood the other part.
Olalekan, unmute yourself and speak, please.
All right, good evening. My question is about 2 questions. The first is, can you hear me?
Yes.
The first is, we've used pick list in a couple of scenarios. I wanted to ask, does Salesforce support dynamic pick list, like pick list that is attached to an object, so that as you begin to add records to the object, that pick list grows?
Can you repeat that, because a pick list is just like a field.
Okay, so the question was if you can have dynamic pick list in Salesforce. Dynamic means you attach the pick list to an object, so that, for example, to maybe department is an object, and you create a pick list so that as the department, the records in the department objects grows, the pick list also grows dynamically.
So why do you want to use pick list when you can just use a lookup?
Okay.
Do you get? Do you
Okay,
get?
so you should use a lookup instead of
a lookup.
Okay.
That's why you have to think about the model. Is this stuff going to be growing? If yes, is pick list an ideal field to use or a lookup to another object?
Okay, that's
Do you get?
All right, thank you. The last question is private apps. So does Salesforce support private apps in terms of if you're working for an organization and you build an app for them, you don't want it in the app exchange because this company is paying you to develop this app for Salesforce?
Yeah. So Lightning App technically is a private app, but if you make it available to other, then it's no longer private. However, you can also make it private, but they can subscribe to that application. They can pay monthly, maybe a license fee to use it. But every application you design within your org is private. No one sees it unless you expose it. If you're in developer class, you will learn more about application building.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, no worries. Thanks. Babs, Kenny, please.
Yeah, thank you very much again, Babatope, for another masterclass. I like to learn a little more about the application of the master detail relationship. I think I'm still caught up with that, and I'm trying to understand how it's really used, because I know it's so important. The master detail relationship and the other type of relationship too, right? So how do I utilize it in a way that brings to life what we're working on?
Yeah. So again, master detail relationship is an important concept in Salesforce because that's where you design the model. I've given you an example of a student and exam record. Let's talk about something else. Maybe I can quickly go through another records option for you or example for you. If you have a phone bill, you are a customer, and every month they send you your bill. Tell me, I want you to unmute yourself and tell me which of them is a master and which of them is a detail.
The phone bill is the detail, right?
Exactly. Why is it a detail?
Well, because it's dependent. It's a dependent variable, right?
Tell me, why is it the detail? Just keep telling me. Keep telling me. Give me
it is because whatever I do is controlled basically by the master, right? They determine, here's your bill, here's what it is every time, right? And if tomorrow, if for example, I use a common company here in the US, Verizon, if they decide they don't want you anymore, they don't want you as a customer anymore, that's the end of the relationship, right?
Yes, but it is a detail because you cannot get a bill if you don't exist.
Yes.
That's the key thing here. The bill exists because you subscribe to the mobile phone. So without you, the bill does not exist, and you can have more bills. You don't have just one bill, you can have as many bills.
Correct.
That's the concept of the master detail. So when we translate this to Salesforce, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go to setup. We're going to create, let's say, hypothetically, we're going to create an object called customer. Okay? Customer objects, and the plural is customers, right? I save. This is the master. Then we go and create another object called bills. Okay? I save. This is the bill. So we go to schema builder just to visualize what we've just done. I clear this. I call it customer. And I have the bill. Okay, I just want to bring them together. So I have this customer. I needed a second one because Salesforce has a default customer, okay? I have this customer and I have the bill. Can you see? This is what I want to call the master, and this is what I want to call the slave, the child, the details. So how do I connect this together? I connect this by creating a relationship. The type of relationship I can create is a master detail. Where do I create the master detail relationship? I will go to the detail side of things. I will go to the detail side of things and I will create a new field on the detail side of things. How do you create a new field? You can just go here and create the field if you want, if you know how to do it from the schema builder, or you can go back to the objects, go to setup, and you go to object manager, you go to bills, and you go to field and relationships. Then you go to new, you create master detail relationship. You select master detail because you want to link the bill to the customer. Then you click on next and you select the customer. Next, and you click on next, 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 and save. So if I refresh this schema builder, let me go back to the schema builder. You will see the connection is now here. The connection is master details. This red line indicates it is a master detail relationship. This is one of the most important concepts even in web development. If you don't understand it as an admin, it is fine. But as a consultant, you need to know this. As a developer, as an architect, you need to know this. This is what makes people's money. As an admin, you probably wouldn't do this much. An architect would have designed this for you and tell you to go use. But as an architect or as an aspiring architect, you need to know how to relate two objects together. This is master, this is detail, and the red sign ensures that you have the master detail relationship. Now that you have that relationship, there are fields in an object. The fields are of different data type. That data type is dependent on the type of data you want to collect. If you want to collect today's dates, or you want to collect purchase dates, what type of data type would you select? You will select a date data type or a datetime data type if you are specific. However, if you want to use a pick list, meaning that you want to restrict the type of values that can be accepted in that data, you want to restrict it. Look at, anytime you have a pick list, this is an example of a pick list, okay? When you edit this page and you have this is a pick list. A pick list is you have a predefined data you want to accept for a particular field. Then you select a pick list. If you don't want a predefined data, you can select a test. A test just gives you that room to type anything you want. Anything you want goes in a test field. So the pick list is when you want a predefined data to enter a field. And the benefit of that pick list is you do not make any mistakes anytime you're entering data. Okay, so that's the master detail, and that's how to enter fields into the master detail objects. Okay, So I hope that kind of like helps. And if you guys want me to go through the record types again, I can go through record types because it's very important for whatever you do in Salesforce. Okay, so I'll let Nonso speak and I'll go through the record types again. Nonso, unmute yourself and speak, please.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Thanks for our my question is on formulas. Now, I saw that you showed us how to link two fields, a field to another object or a record. And you mentioned that there are several use cases when it comes to formulas. Now, I believe a very common one will be kind of like mathematical calculations, for example, maybe percentage of sales. So I was wondering if you could show us, for example, using your student and exam record examples, kind of like say the cumulative total of like the student's result, how that mathematical calculation will be done in the formula.
That's a good question. So we have to display that record on the student's details page, right?
Yeah.
The total student grade, okay? So I will go to where would I go? Walk me through. I go to objects. I will look for the student objects, okay?
Yeah.
I click on it. Then what do I want to create? A field.
Field, exactly, formula field.
Okay, a formula field.
Yeah.
So now, if you want to display total grade, which is the sum of all the grades of the student,
yes,
you can use formula, okay? Don't get me wrong, but maybe a roll-up summary could be an ideal field. Okay. Don't you think so? Because definition, what is a roll-up summary? A roll-up summary is a field that displays the sum, the minimum, or the maximum value of a field in a related list or the record count of all records listed in a related list. Can you interpret that to me in a simple English? Tell me, what do you understand by that?
Okay, basically, what I'm getting is it adds up all the figures. It could show the minimum amount or the maximum amount. So min, max, and sum.
Yes, that's what it's saying. Simple, that's what it's saying. So we want the total from the exam record, and we want all the sum of the student exam grade. Okay. So instead of using formula, Salesforce gives us out of the box solution.
Yeah. Okay.
So we don't have to stress ourselves over formula. Do you get what I mean? Now that we've created our total grade, it's going to appear on the student objects, on the student records. So for every this thing, we can see the total grade. Can you see?
Okay.
It's automatic. Once you create a student, this guy, this is the total grade of that student. So if I create another record, exam record for that student, I go to this, I click on next. I just want to call it geography. Okay. And I say the grade is, let's say 35. Save. I go back to the details. The total grade has increased because it's summing all the exam records. Okay? Yeah. But you can also use a formula for it. I'm just thinking, how would you use a formula? Walk me through what a typical formula would be like. It's going to be adding physics, chemistry, and everything. That will be, tell me.
So let's say physics, chemistry, and math, he gets, say 90, let's even use 100 for ease of arithmetic. He gets 100% on each of them. So that will be 100 divided by 300, which is the total, times the percentage, so that we can actually get that actual percentage of 100%. If it's 90, he gets all true. It's going to be 90, 90, 90. which is 180 plus.
I know, but the thing is that you're talking in words. To translate what you've said to Salesforce code is not easy. Okay, so let me see if we can do that. I'll go to percentage. Okay, next. So I want to. Okay, let's just 2. Yeah, because you cannot have duplicate field, okay? So I want to do a cross-object formula. I want to go to the exam. So what object am I? I'm on the student. You see, I can't even get to the exam records. Can you see? I cannot get to the exam record because the exam record is where the record is, right?
Yes.
So I might probably need to use another way of doing it. You know, in Salesforce, you can use flow, but we haven't gotten there yet. But I can use another way of doing it, okay? But it's not something you can do mathematically. You can do formula, but as you can see, there is limitation with Salesforce in terms of that kind of formula. You cannot do that, okay?
Okay.
Yeah. Abisola, you can unmute yourself and speak, please.
Okay, thank you, Babatope. I just have a quick question about record type. I knew you said you were going to go back to it, but because you said record type controls the pick list and the visibility on the pick list field, I'm wondering if we can use field dependencies to achieve that. An example would be, because you said for internal students, example, maybe you want it to be able to show this, like IELTS or something. I think you mentioned warm, cold. Like if we choose this, we should be able to just see warm. And if we choose the other option, we should just be able to see hot and cold. So I'm wondering if you could use field dependencies to do that.
Yeah, you can also use field dependencies to do that, okay? You can use field dependencies to do the same thing I did with record type, but record type has more features such as page layout. Can you see what I did with page layout? I was using the record type to determine how to display the page details page. Okay, but you can also use field dependencies to do that based on what we learned yesterday. Yes, you can use it. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, let's quickly go back to the record type again so I explain it once more. Record types helps you to determine, okay, I'm going to say this again. Record types helps you to determine the value that appears on a pick list field. When you're entering data, if you don't need registration when a student is coming internally, you don't need to provide that option for registration. It's used for data integrity. If a student is an internal student, maybe the student is already enrolled in the previous course, you don't need that registration again. Maybe, I don't know, I'm just giving an example, right? Or maybe you don't need assessment passed. I don't want this field to be displayed if the student is an internal student. Record type helps you to determine the options that appears in a pick list. Record types helps you to control this option. Record types helps you to limit the options. Record type determines what type of data you can enter given series or several data. So let's see how that plays out. Right now in the students, I have, let me go to students. I have undergraduate and postgraduates. Let me close that. Let me go to leads. We haven't used record type for leads. So right now I have this lead object. And when I click on new, I have this option. And the lead source is web, phone inquiry, partner referrer, purchase list, order. This is the current lead source. I want to use record type to determine or to restrict what can be displayed here. I can use record type to determine whether web, phone, partner, or purchase list is displayed or not. Why do I want to do this? I want to do this because if a lead is coming from the web, I cannot enter phone inquiry as the lead source. Or maybe the lead is coming from some other places beside the web. I don't need to have the web option there. So record type just kind of like limits the option you can enter for a particular record creation process. So now we are particular about the lead, and I want to make sure that whenever a lead is being entered, the industry is limited based on a record type. How do I do this? I go to the lead object. I go to the lead object in the backend, and I go to lead. I want to say, okay, there are two types of lead for my business. The first lead are the leads that I get internally, or the lead I get from social media. And the second lead are the lead I got through maybe phone call. I want to determine what should come up in the industry field anytime a lead comes from social media. This is just me creating a sample or an example out of nothing, right? So I go to the lead object, I go to record types, and I click on new. I say, okay, for my lead object, lead is a special object. So it's asking me to create a process, and I haven't taught you lead process yet, so I wouldn't do this. Let me use a different object. Same with opportunity. You know, I told you last time, lead opportunity as special object. They come with their own processes, okay? So it's going to be very confusing if I have to use them as an example until we get there. So let me look for, and okay, this is contact, right? Let's use contact, okay? Let's use contact. So I go to contact, and I create a record type. So I'm saying that anytime I'm entering a new contact into the system, I want to control what comes up here. Right now, it is web, phone inquiry, partner referral, purchase list, others. I want to create new record types. And the record types will be internal and external. Remember, you can do anything, okay? I'm just giving a very simple example that you guys can relate with. Internal contacts, okay? And I click on save, or next, sorry. Actually, I need to select a profile. I'm selecting accounting department and system admin. I click on next, and I click on save. Contact layout, and I click on save. So now I've created internal contacts, okay? One record type. I'm going to create a new record type called external contacts. External contacts, okay? I have external contacts. I make it available for accounting department profile and system administrator, and I click on next. I select a page layout. I click on save. So anytime I'm creating a new contact, I have the option for external contacts, record types, and internal contact record type. Record types are just types of records. The types of records, record types of records. So when I'm creating a new contact in the system, I'm going to refresh this. I click on new contacts. Now it's asking me, what type of contacts would you like to create? An internal contact or an external contact? For an internal contact, you have these options. You create normal way. For external contacts, you have the option, you create normal way, which is fine, okay? Which is fine. Now, Because of record types, I can determine if it's an internal contact. I don't want to have all these options. I just want to have 3 options. If it's an external contact, I don't want to have all these options. I just want to have 3 or 4 options. Then I use the fact that I've created a record type. I will go to what I call the lead source, which is the field of interest, lead source. As you can see, record types only controls drop-downs menu, like the salutation, like the lead source, okay? The same way we have here, lead source, level, salutation, because they are drop-down, right? They are drop-down, that's why you can control them. Salutation, can you see? So now I go back to the lead source, or I start with the external contacts. I click on external contacts. I edit the lead source, and I say web, phone inquiry, partner referrer, purchase list, others, which I currently have. Web, phone inquiry, partner referrer, purchase list, others. But I want it to just be limited to web, phone inquiries, and partner referrer. Okay? If it's an external contact, so I'm going to take off all this away. I want to limit it to web, phone inquiry, and partner referrer. I save. So next time I select external contact when I'm creating a new contact, the only thing that will come up is web, phone inquiry, and partner referrer. Now for the internal contact, I do the same thing. This time around, I'm going to take off web, take off phone inquiry, take off partner referrer. I'm taking it off. And the only thing I want is purchase list, others, whenever it is internal contacts. So I've created a dynamic pick list option whenever a record type is internal or external. Now I refresh. I want to create a new contact. What? Internal contact. Remember, internal contact, the only option I have is purchase list and order. I select internal contact. I go to next. The lead source is purchase list and order. So I have taken off the things I don't need. Whenever a record type is internal, I have taken it off. I don't want my user to be able to select those options. Now, if I go to the external contacts, what option do I have? Web, phone inquiry, partner referrer. I refresh this page and I want to select external, not internal. I click on new, external contacts. Next, what option do I have? Web, phone inquiry, and partner referrer. This is what record type is all about. Record types helps you to remove the things that are not needed for that record. It is the type of a record types, and it is used for mostly or pick list. You cannot use it for other things. You can only use it for pick list whenever you have a drop-down menu like this, okay? So that's record types, and that is how you use the record type. The other thing you can do with the record type is you can assign a different page layout for that record type. You can decide to say, whenever it's external contact, use this layout. Whenever it is internal contact, use this layout. And what is a page layout? A page layout is just the kind of fields you want to display on a page. This is a page layout, the type of fields you display on this page. So whenever you have an internal contact, you can say, I don't want to have phone, home, mobile. You take it off away from the page layout. How do you do that? You go to page layouts, you go to your sample page layout, which you want, and you just take it off. So please, I want you to kind of like pay attention to all these all these terms. That's all you need. As an admin, you will not do more than this. You just need to be able to understand where to go and make those changes. This is the page layout. You can take off all the fields you don't want on the page layout. You can take it off. Okay, that's how to take it off. Just click on remove and you've taken it off. You create a page layout the same way you've created a record type. You can create a page layout and you can assign a record type or a page layout to a record type. Okay, so please guys, the best way to learn is to do the trailhead. Okay, so do you guys have any questions before we close for tonight? Please try to watch the videos. That's the way you can learn. Don't end your class after the live class. You need to watch the video and you need to do the trailhead. If you're a paid member, you should be coming for clinics and tutorials. These are where your mentors can help you to reinforce your knowledge. This stuff is very straightforward once you get a very good grip of it. And I don't want to overwhelm you with projects right now because the only way you can learn this is by getting your hands dirty. You need to do a project. But I want to teach before I give you project. For the last cohort, I gave them projects and they started getting the concept, but it becomes really overwhelming. And I don't want that. I want a case whereby you have a very good knowledge of it. Then you now start working on projects and you have a mentor that would guide you through your projects. Again, you need to be committed. You need to stop everything that is holding you down. A lot of people are making money, fortune through this. So try to pay attention and try to learn. Don't limit it to just in-class training. In-class training is not enough to master this skill. You have to learn outside of the class. You have to be dedicated. You have to watch the videos which I have posted previously in the core 2. You have to watch it. That's the only way you can learn. See the differences between the classes. Some class I might have mentioned certain things, some class not, but see the difference and you will learn and see things that maybe in core 2 I explained, in core 3 I did not explain. You can see that and try to take it, because at the end of the day, you need to know what the Salesforce platform is all about. And the only way to know it is by constant learning. So go to your My Learning and go to whatever you enrolled into, watch the video for core 3, and if core 3 seems like it's fast and you don't get certain things, go back and watch what cohort 2 video says about that stuff. If you watch 2 different videos by the same person, you will learn something. And one thing I do when I watch videos is I watch it at a speed that is faster than the normal speaker speed. So I put it as 2x. I finish 2 hours video in 30 minutes or 1 hour. I can finish all this video in 4 hours. This video is about 8 hours, but in 4 hours, I can finish them by just increasing the speed. The voice might seem awkward, but you can learn faster. I watch Udemy videos in 1 hour or 30 minutes. That's the way I learn. I learn ahead of the class and I try to do things ahead of the class. So in class, I only ask questions. Please try to use this strategy. It's going to help you. We have a long way to go, but this is the beginning and you need to understand the beginning in order to survive subsequent classes, okay? Ella has a question and we close for tonight. Ella, unmute yourself and speak.
Hi, Babatope. Sorry, the course that, the trailhead that you want us to go through for this particular teaching for today, I don't know if you have the name.
I don't think I have the name, but I can give you, again, all you just need to do is record types. If you type in record types, you would always see a trail that would help you understand that record types, okay? Refresh. Let me look for a trail that would help you. Record type. So let me look for that trail. Data modeling. Data modeling and management. Okay, data modeling. This is look at formulas, data modeling. This is everything we've just done. Relationships. It takes about 15 minutes to work on those things. If you can do this trail, you will be good with data modeling and management. I'm putting it in the chat for everyone to just use, okay? So please try to use the Trailhead. This class is for live training. Trailhead will just be giving you bits and pieces, but this class is where you learn how it's being used. And ideally, anytime you go on the Blackforce or you know the next thing we have to do, read ahead of class so you can ask me questions you don't understand. Most people, when they give training, they just give you videos. I teach you live so you can ask questions on the go. That's the benefit of live training. So please take advantage of it and try your best to attempt all this stuff. Roll up summary, use formula fields. These are the things you would need to have a very good understanding of what is being taught. For those that are asking for a quiz, the quiz is right on your application. So if you log into single login, you will see sign in and you will see the quiz. So let me sign in. This is for standard or professional subscribers, by the way. It's not for free because it's asked to do with certification preparation, okay? This is your online assessment, okay? Your online assessment will just show you the quiz app, okay? And for you have to make sure you're logging in Blackforce Business for you to see the quiz for Blackforce, okay? So you have your login is in Blackforce Business, you go to modules and you click on online assessment and you'll be able to take the quiz, okay? You'll be able to take the quiz, but this guy doesn't have access, but you will have access if you are a standard or a professional subscriber, okay? But this guy doesn't have access. I think, let me sign out. Let me log into that again, online assessment. You should be able to have access. Yeah, this is what you should see. If you're logging through Blackforce Business, you see Core 3, Administrator Certification Preparation, and you can start taking the quiz under assessments on that time condition. The password is 12345 Once you take the quiz, you only have one attempt to take the quiz, by the way. So make sure you're ready, you're in a good environment, take the quiz. On Thursday, I'm going to open up the quiz so everyone can take the quiz and see their mistakes, their answer, and they can correct it, okay? I have to stop now. It's 30 minutes past the time spent. So please let me know if you have any questions. If you have any issue with your visibility, please reach out to support@blackforce.ca and they'll be able to address your issue, okay? Take care, have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, everyone.